Everybody's Got Feelings is the first time with my nostalgic trip with rewatching Barney that I've really noticed such a significant difference between the earlier seasons and this one, which is the first episode of season 9. I'm watching the first episode of every season of Barney to see how the show has progressed over the years, and this one is vastly different. And honestly, I have to look at it in two ways. I have to look at it from the nostalgic perspective. There are things that I think don't work that well with what the magic of Barney used to be like, but had a child watched this episode with no knowledge of the previous seasons, then they wouldn't know what they're missing out on, so maybe it's not a big deal, I don't know. The overarching theme of the episode rather, is everybody's got feelings. It's a lovely message. It mostly looks at happy, sad, and angry, which I guess are the three main feelings that young children experience. You can kind of incorporate a lot of others into there. For example, anxiety could perhaps be a kind of sadness. It could also manifest as a type of anger as well, depending on how the child responds to those feelings. And, laughter and enjoyment and fun are all types of happiness. So I think they chose three pretty good feelings to focus on, and there are various songs and a couple of creative activities to stress that. But honestly, it's nowhere near as developed as well as the previous seasons. And this is, of course, just based on this season 9 opener. Maybe the rest of season 8 was a little bit like this, but the first episode of season 8 wasn't this bad. There were a couple of changes, but before that, everything was so varied. There were songs, story time, dancing, creative activities, and there are little bits of that in here, but not always with the children, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. But, the overarching message about feelings, really important, definitely gets the message across quite clearly that everybody has feelings, and you may even feel more than one feeling in the same day, and that's okay. However, the actual composition of the narrative, the way the various aspects come together, the editing is not bad, but it's not an episode of Barney. The great thing about Barney, and the reason why it worked so well when I was younger, is that you feel like you're one of the children. You feel like you're there with Barney. You feel like you're taking part in these songs, in these, the dances. You're listening to the story that Barney is telling. You are there. It is immersive. That's not the case with this one, because the editing is just, they're trying to bring it into the 21st century and put in some fancy editing and stuff, but it kind of pulls away from the thing that makes Barney so immersive and warm and welcoming. It makes it too clinical. We have footage of random children displaying all kinds of emotions, which is just, I don't feel like, the editing was fine, it wasn't badly edited, but as soon as they did that, I was no longer one of the children engaging in play and song with Barney. I was watching something on a TV screen. There's also a moment where, quite a few moments where it's just a plain bright white background with some soft play things around, and Barney is talking directly to the camera. BJ and Baby Bop also feature in that kind of environment, and again, it takes away from the I'm a child with the other children with this imaginary play in this dinosaur in this environment. Instead, I am somebody watching a TV screen. And it completely ruins it. It ruins the magic. It ruins the thing that made Barney so special and so unique. And instead it makes it just like any other TV show. And I think it was a really bad decision. But again, as I said, if a child is watching this for the first time and they haven't seen the previous seasons, they don't know what they're missing out on. So it's not necessarily bad on its own. But compared to what Barney was, it's really lacking. It's lacking that magic, that immersive experience, that sense of familiarity and relatability. Instead, you're just a person watching a TV show. And it makes it like everything else. Sure, it covers some interesting things. It stresses, the importance of exercise to feel better. And we have the one creative bit with the making of the masks and the faces, which I think is a pretty good thing and something children can do at home. The songs are not that good. There are two that I recognised. One is If You're Happy and You Know It, Clap Your Hands, which I knew would feature, but I don't like it because the version is If You're Happy and You Know It and Your Face Will Surely Show It. that's wrong. It's if you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it. Because it's saying if you want to show how happy you are, clap your hands, stomp your feet. The other version makes no sense. So I was kind of annoyed by that. And there was a song about BJ's Blankie to the tune of Where Oh Where Has My Johnny Gone, I think it's called. So yeah, it's really, compared to the previous seasons, it's not good. But if a child has never experienced the previous seasons, then they don't know the magic they're missing out on, and they won't know any better. So they can get the education, but in a way that any other TV show could provide that education. It's really lost the thing that made Barney magical, inviting, welcoming, relatable, friendly. It did still include the I Love You song, which I genuinely felt like it wasn't going to, so it did, it made me smile at the end and well up a little bit because the song always makes me emotional. But yeah, I'm going to continue watching Barney because I'm keen to see what it's like as it progresses through the last 2 decades. But yeah, this is not the show it was, and not in a good way.